I would like to welcome everyone to ACE's Click Dimensions webinar. My name is Lisa Dunham, and I'm the Client Development Specialist for ACE Microtechnology. Presenting today's webinar is Gary Murphy, Department Development Manager for Click Dimensions. We would love to hear from you all, so we will be leaving about 5 minutes after the presentation for about Q&A. Also, this webinar is recorded, so this will be available after the session. Now, without further ado, I will turn over my controls to Gary Murphy.
Thank you very much, Lisa, and thank you everyone for joining us this afternoon to take a closer look at Click Dimensions. So I have a few slides that I'm going to go over to start with, but after that I'm going to jump over to our live environment and show you a lot of the features in action. So without any further ado, I'm just going to go ahead and dive right in. So here, the first question we ask is why Click Dimensions? And the answer is pretty simple. Click Dimensions is a marketing platform that's natively built into Microsoft Dynamics 365. So our solution enables marketers to create sophisticated multi-channel marketing campaigns to attract more leads, close more sales, and engage customers, all from within your CRM environment. So we have more Dynamics customers than any other marketing platform, and we offer a full range of services and support to ensure that customers have the tools they need to create and execute effective marketing campaigns. And so this slide shows the feature set of Click Dimensions. And so what Click Dimensions does basically is that it extends the out-of-the-box marketing capabilities that come with CRM by giving you the ability to create and send your email campaigns, track your website traffic, integrate your forums and your surveys, manage your events, and more. And we also, have an add-on of social media management tools that we call Click Dimensions Social Engagement. And here are just a few points on what that does. And if you'd like to know more about social engagement, please let the team at ACE Microtechnology know, and we can show you more on that at a later date. So when you think about a traditional marketer, they're likely going to have some kind of CRM system that they're working with, whether it's Dynamics or some other system. And then usually there's a whole set of disparate tools that are used for email or web tracking or surveys or social marketing. And so these systems may be integrated or they might be synced periodically by some kind of connector. But in most cases, there's usually some kind of action required to get that marketing data synced to your CRM. Now, the nice thing that distinguishes Click Dimensions from other marketing products, as I mentioned earlier, is that we're not a separate standalone product, but rather Click Dimensions is built natively right within Dynamics CRM and Dynamics 365. So this means that there are no separate systems to integrate or connect to your CRM. And then from a user perspective, the whole experience of using all the Click Dimensions features is right inside CRM, and all the data is brought into CRM in a way that's reportable and actionable, and it's all captured in real time without being stored at Click Dimensions or in the cloud. So this means that you can use the standard out-of-the-box features in CRM, such as the workflows, reports, queries, and dashboards, to get that data to do pretty much whatever you ask it to do. And you're not going to be in a situation where you can't access your data or it isn't showing in real time because it's sitting in some other database. Now, from an email marketing standpoint, all the creation of your emails will come from inside your CRM, but then Click Dimensions will handle the sending of the emails through our Azure servers. And then on the back end, Click Dimensions will also track your deliverability and sender authentication. And another great feature is that with Click Dimensions, marketers can associate their own domain to the emails and the forms. So those are going to be completely branded to your organization and not to Click Dimensions. So I'm going to start by showing you email marketing because email template creation, email marketing is still a very popular tactic used with our tool today. So as this slide shows, there are 4 different ways to create an email in Click Dimensions. And starting at the left, we have the block editor. We also have a very user-friendly drag and drop option, which is the one I'm going to show you here in a moment. That's by far our most popular editor. We also have the freestyle editor, which is more that WYSIWYG or what you see is what you get type of editor. Now, if you already have email layouts designed, you can upload those layouts to the layout manager, or if you don't have anything pre-made, you can choose one of the templates that we provide and go from there. And then finally, if you have people that just strictly like to work with code, or if you're using a different solution like Dreamweaver to build your emails, we do also have the custom HTML editor as more of a technical option. So enough of the slides. I'm going to jump over to our live environment now, and I want to show you some of this stuff in action. So if I come over here, this is our live environment here. I just want to open up the marketing tab, and under marketing, you'll notice here in the middle that you see this marketing section, the leads, the marketing list, campaigns, accounts, contacts, dashboards, activities, and reports. That's basically what you get out of the box with CRM. Click Dimensions is going to play with those exact same entities. So your leads that are already in CRM, your marketing list, your campaigns, all of those items that you already have in CRM is what is going to work with the Click Dimensions suite. So just to give you that idea that, you know, this is all kind of built in here. As you can see, there are a lot of items here that are in green. All of these things in green are what Click Dimensions is going to add to your CRM. So you're going to see website analytics, like visits to your site, specific pages that are viewed, you know, forms and surveys that are submitted. Under email marketing, you have things like the email sends, which is your bulk emails, your email templates, your subscription preferences, things like that. Mobile and social, we have the ability to do connectors for SMS and also for social posting. We have the campaign automation feature, which is where all of this stuff kind of comes together, and I'll show you that here obviously later. And we also have some event management capabilities. And then under the settings tab, you'll notice a few things that are sprinkled in throughout here with green as well, namely the web content, which is your forms, your surveys, and your landing pages, and we'll touch on that a bit as well. So the point that I'm trying to make here is that if you're already familiar with CRM, this is going to work with the same kind of familiar interface that you're already used to. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start by showing you the drag and drop editor, as I mentioned. So I've got one saved. I'm just going to pull up here. Now with the drag and drop editor, like I said, it's very intuitive, very easy to use. This is by far our most popular editor. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to open this up. And you're going to see here, you've got layouts, content, and style. So I like to start with a layout, and these are all out of the box. So you can use this to kind of pick your starting point. It's not locking you in. You can still further modify this, but let's just say I want to go with this one for now. Now you'll notice I've got the different blocks here of text and images and combinations. This one here is just an image block, so I can click on that and go in here to the image library to select an image. You'll notice there are folders, so you can organize your images in folders. You just kind of drag the file and drop it here, and you can organize them right there. But I'm just going to go ahead and grab this one and pop it in there. And then as you can see, I can add links to the file, or I can do that with text as well. So we have a variety of different types of links that you can add. You can direct them to a website. You can have them open an email, for example, direct them to a subscription management page, and so forth. Now, if I want to, as I said, this is just my starting point here. If I want to come in here to the content section, these are additional types of content that I can add. So maybe I want to add in another block of text right there, and I want to separate that with a couple of dividers to make it stand out. I can do that as well. If I want to go into this block of text, I can just say dear. And then one thing I really like is that with Click Dimensions being built natively within CRM, you can personalize these emails to pull information from the leads or the contacts. So very common example, I'm going to use this little head and shoulders icon. A very common example is to pull like the first name, for example. If you're addressing the email to someone, you want to call them by their first name, you can do that. So I'm just pulling in that little script, and then it might be tough to see, but there are a couple quotation marks here. So in the unlikely event that that first name field is empty, you can type in something like friend, and it would say dear friend instead of dear blank, which would be a little awkward. So that is a really great way to personalize those emails. Excuse me. Now, if I come into the preview here, this is going to show me how this email is looking on my desktop. It's also going to show me here how it's looking on my mobile device. We also have inbox previews. So with the inbox preview, it's going to show you how that email is going to look in other applications, like different versions of Outlook or on an iPhone or Gmail, for example. And then, you know, coming back here, this idea that I just showed you with the personalization, you can actually take that even further. If you want a whole section, let's say you want this entire section right here to change altogether based on information that you know about the contact or lead, you can do that using what we call our dynamic content capability. So if maybe your contact, you want it to change if they're male versus female, or if they're English speaking versus Spanish speaking. You can even go multiple levels with that. So you could say English speaking males, Spanish speaking females, or different customer segmentations. Whatever you know about the contact or lead, you can use to further personalize these emails so that that entire section will change entirely based on that information. So that's pretty much it for email creation. Excuse me. Now that we've gone over that, I'm going to go into how to send an email. And I'm just going to pop back over here to a slide. So you've got a couple different ways to send emails here. I'm going to show you guys the traditional bulk send, but you can also send emails individually from a contact or lead, or from a nurture campaign, an automation campaign here, or even from a workflow in CRM. So this again is where that native integration into Dynamic CRM is really going to show its strength, because all the data comes directly back into CRM in real time. So again, I'm going to pop back over to CRM here. I'm going to go to my marketing tab, and I'm going to go to email sends. And this is just going to show we've got it looking at a view of some old newsletters that we sent. So apologies for the old, the look and feel here when you see the newsletter. It's our old brand, but I just wanted to show you guys how we did this bulk email send. So the first thing we did is we created this email send record, and we called it Click Dimensions July 2017 newsletter. And then we popped in our email template that we created here. As you can see, we used the drag and drop editor, so it's showing that newsletter right here. If we have a CRM campaign, which we do, but if you have a CRM campaign and you want to tie this email send to the campaign, you can do that right here. Now in the from section, this is going to give you some different options on who you want this email to appear to come from. Let's say you've got a sales team and you want it to appear to come from each individual sales account manager. You can have it come from that record owner, or you can just pick one user and have all the emails come from that one specific user. You can also just pick a name or an email address. In this example, we're just having it come from marketing@clickdimensions.com. You know, for things like holiday newsletters, maybe you want it to appear to come from your CEO, but obviously if people reply to that email, you don't want all the replies going back to the CEO. You can override right here where all those replies are going to. So you can send, excuse me, so you can send those to the marketing team, for example, if you'd like to do that. Now here under delivery, you can choose if you want this email to go out immediately, or in this case here, if you choose no, you can pick the date and time later on when you want that to go out. And then we also have this test email option. So a couple of these options are up above, I'm going to go over here in a moment, but two of them that you're not seeing, one is the send button, obviously because we've already sent this one, and the other is the test, again, because we've already sent it. But you can put in one or more people right here and then hit test. And what that's going to do is it's going to show you spam assassin report, which will tell you how likely this email is to get caught up in a spam folder. And then of course, the people here will receive a test version of that email. Now, lastly, we've got the recipient section. So this, again, is where we're playing off of those same lists that you've already got in CRM. So your contacts list, your leads list, these can be static or dynamic lists. In this case here, we send it to our dynamic contacts list and our dynamic leads lists. You can also send this to individual contacts, leads, or accounts if you'd like. There's really no limit here as to the number of recipients that you can put on this bulk send. Okay. Now, as I mentioned, there are some options at the top that I want to point out. This one here is clone. So with clone, let's say I've got this whole record created and everything's done, and now I'm past July and I'm into August. I can just clone this record, change July to August in my title, attach my August newsletter, and assuming I didn't want to make any other changes, I could be done that simply, and then I can go ahead and send that. Another option here is the split test. So with the A/B split testing, this is going to allow you to do a little bit of testing on maybe different versions of an email before you send it out. So let's say that you've created your email template, you've got all the content in there, you've got who it's coming from, the subject line, all of that stuff figured out, but maybe you're undecided as to whether you want the email to come from your direct email address or from the marketing team or something like that. You can do a little comparison here. So everything that you built on your initial copy is going to be called strategy A, but over here under strategy B, you can change things like the subject line or who it's coming from, the record owner. You can even compare it to an entirely different template if you'd like. So once I've made a change here, it's going to let me go into the next screen. There we go. And this little slider will allow me to pick my sample size. So let's just go with maybe 10% and 10%. So what this means is out of all the recipients that are going to get this email, a random 10% are going to get version A, a random 10% are going to get version B, and the rest of the folks, they're just going to sit on hold for a minute. And then I can determine if I want the winning strategy of this test to be based on the unique click rate or the unique open rate. I like to go with clicks, but it's up to you. And then what I really like about this is I can choose the winning strategy automatically. So I can click yes there, and then I can choose how long I want to run this test. So maybe I want to choose it's hours, days, or weeks. So maybe I want to run it for 4 hours. So at the end of the 4 hours, whichever one of these two versions gets the most unique clicks is the winner. And at that point, we're automatically going to send the remaining 80% of our recipients that winning strategy automatically. So that's just a really neat feature that's designed to help you get better results with your email sends. So coming back out here to the email send, we also have a whole slew of email statistics. And I'm not going to go through all these in a ton of detail, but just to point out, this overview here is going to show you the number of listed recipients. So this is, again, if you remember, we had the contacts and the leads list. So these are all the recipients from those two lists. If someone is listed, let's say you're sending it to 10 lists and someone's on all 10, we're only going to send it to them once. As you can see here, we will exclude duplicate emails automatically. Then you have this additional exclusions. So someone will be excluded here for one of two reasons. One, if they had hard bounce, which means their email address is not valid, or two, if they chose to unsubscribe from our newsletter, they will be excluded here. We're not going to remove them from the marketing lists. We're just going to exclude them from receiving this email. And you can click this link right here to run the report to see who was excluded and why. And so what you're left with here are the number of actual messages that went out. And then you can see some of the stats here. This is a combination wheel that shows all the stats, but it's really basically breaking down your click rate, which includes your unique clicks and total clicks, as well as your open rate, unique opens, total opens, and your hard and soft bounces here. If you did a split test on this email send, you can see the same results below here for the B version. You've got your email clients, your conversions. I like this one because if you have links on your email that will direct people to your website or to a form or a survey, you can see how many people submitted or visited based on clicks off of that specific email. Then you have your click report, which is going to show you all the links. Obviously, our newsletter has a ton of links. We have 27 links. And for each of those links, it's going to show me the number of unique clicks and total clicks for each link. Now, I can get even more granular with this by drilling into one of those links. And now for that link, it's going to show me all of the leads, contacts, or accounts that clicked on that, plus the number of times that they clicked on it. So you can see some people here clicked on it more than once. And then, of course, I can go even further down the rabbit hole by clicking on a specific contact, and it's going to open up a new tab, taking me to the contact record. So if you remember when I first opened up CRM and I showed you the marketing tab and all the things that were green that ClickDimensions adds to the marketing tab, same thing here. If I click the little caret by the contact, all of these things in green are ClickDimensions activities. So if I want to look at Leaf here and see what emails we've sent to him, I can see that right here. We've sent him 26 different emails. I can see the number of deliveries, opens, clicks, bounces, unsubscribes, things like that. I can also see if he submitted any surveys or any forms. I can go see his subscription preferences. I can see pages that he's looked at or visits to my website. This profile is kind of a neat option because this is going to give me a consolidated view of all of his activity in one place. Down here in the bottom corner, I can see that he downloaded an ebook, he went to subscriptions, he received newsletters, and so forth. So all of this activity contributes to this lead score. Now the lead score is made up from email clicks, visits to your site, and form submissions. So obviously the higher the score is, the more engaged they are. So that's how the lead scoring works there, but just kind of giving you that other side of the coin, if you will. If you can look at an activity like the email send and see all the things that go along with that, especially here in the email stats, or if you're looking at a contact, you can see all the things that that specific contact has done. Now coming back here to the email stats, we also have a recipients tab. This is just going to show you all the people As I said, 19,000 people got this email. So this is just a report that shows all of the leads, contacts, and accounts that got it. You can see the deliveries, the number of times they opened it, the number of clicks, and so forth. The heat map is nice. If you have a lot, this is an old one, so I don't think it's loading anymore, but this will show you all of the links that are on your email. And these little boxes typically will have a percentage, which will show you the percentage of the clicks overall compared to all the other clicks. So you can see which clicks are getting the most attention and which ones are not. And then here under social shares, if someone shares this email on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, or Google+, you can see that here. In this case, no one has shared that email. So that's pretty much it for the email stats, and pretty much it for the emails in total. So the next thing I want to do is talk about web tracking, and then we'll talk about web content, and then I'll show you campaign automation where we put all of this together. So with web tracking, it's pretty simple. What we do is we provide a tracking script that you just put on the footer of your website. So that script is going to work kind of like Google Analytics if you've ever used that, but it's going to be very micro level tracking. It's going to show you how people got to your site, which pages they looked at, how long they stayed, and who that person was if that person is an existing contact or lead. So if I come in here to the marketing tab and go to visits, that's okay. We have this set to show a view of all of the active visits on our site right now. And as you can see, some of these people are identified as a lead or a contact. The majority of these people are not. We don't know who these people are. So we call them an anonymous visitor. And I'm just going to go ahead and drill into one of these, and we'll take a look. So I can still see a lot of information, even though we don't know who this person is. I can still see that this was their first visit to our site. On that visit, they looked at 5 pages, they stayed 613 seconds, and they got a lead score of 20 for that visit. Down here, I can see the actual pages that they looked at while they were visiting. I can see referrer information, location information based on the IP lookup that we do, and also some of the browser information here. But again, they're not a lead in our system and they're not a contact. So what we do instead, we put all this in this record here called an anonymous visitor record. The really nice thing about the anonymous visitors is that we're continually tracking this, but at some point, if this person goes to my site and fills out a form, or if they click on an email that we send to them, at that point, we're going to know who they are, and we're going to set them up as either a lead or a contact, and then we're automatically going to take all of this anonymous visitor history, and we're going to tie it to that newly created contact or lead so that you never lose any of the historical data for that person. Okay. All right, I'm going to come back out here to the visit section, and I mentioned earlier on that you can use all the powerful tools that are in CRM to create your own types of reports and queries and dashboards. And I'm not going to go into that in a lot of detail. The folks at Ace Microtechnology will definitely be able to help you with that a lot more. But I just want to kind of touch on that to show you. So you can use Advanced Find feature here to create the different views, and you can save those. So that's what we did here. We've got all kinds of different views that are out of the box, and there's other ones that we've created. So let's just say we're still thinking about visits to our site here, but maybe what we want to do is we want to see visits that were a result of a social click. So we have the social posting capability. If you put a link to your site on a social post and someone clicks on that, they're going to come back to the site. And again, it's going to show you the contacts or leads if it's their first visit, how long they stayed, how many pages they looked at, all that same kind of stuff that you can see from the previous page. Maybe you're spending a lot of time working on emails and you want to see if that's paying off. I can look and see all the visits to my site that are a result of an email click. Now, the thing is, you can get the information from a click report to show if they visited your site or not, but this view is a little bit nicer because it gives you just a little bit more detail. If I look at this visit here from Klaus, it's showing that he came in, looked at 1 page, and basically left. 8 is the minimum score that you can get. However, Rionda here came in and looked at 4 pages and got a score of 17 and stayed 57 seconds. So that's a little bit more of a substantial visit. Same here and here. And just at a glance, I can go through and see, yeah, you know, today, not too bad. I'm getting some pretty decent visits as a result of email clicks. So it just gives you a little bit more insight than a regular click report would give you there. All right, so that's pretty much it for web tracking. Next thing I'm going to do is talk about web content. That's going to be your forms, your surveys, your landing pages. Now, we have a form builder and a survey builder. They're both very identical. So what I'm going to do is just show you guys the form builder. Again, I'm going to go to settings and go to web content. And I'll show you the form builder, and then we'll just talk about a couple key differences between the forms and the surveys. All right, so this is our form builder. The survey builder looks pretty much identical to this. You're going to have 3 columns to work with. What you do is come over here, you'll create your fields. For a survey, obviously it's not a field, it's a survey question. And the way that the data comes back between a form and a survey is a little bit different. With a field, you're putting in things like first name, last name, email address. All of that information is going to map one-to-one back to the contact or lead. However, with a survey, we don't want you to have to create all these fields in CRM on the contact or lead for every survey question. So instead, those answers will come back here under marketing as survey answers. So we're still bringing this information in. It's still tied to the contact. So if I look at the date and timestamp and the contact name right here, I can see that Megan completed this survey. It's just a sample survey, but there were 7 questions on there. So that's bringing in a record for each question and answer. However, that's the survey answers. Whoops, if I go in here and go to the posted surveys, now this is that survey right here. It's the same date and time stamp, same contact. So this is showing me the results of that survey all up. I can drill into this. It gives me the questions and the answers here. But then I can also come up here and look at the survey report. So this is going to show me a combination of all the stats for everybody that completed this survey. It looks like there were 16 participants. And so I can see the questions and all the different answers and the percentages and the counts. So that's the survey report right there. So a little bit different in how that information pulls back into ClickDimensions. But again, back to the form builder, you're going to create your forms, and then you just drag and drop them onto the form builder right here as you'd like. You have the ability to preview the form, and I'm not the greatest at creating these and making them look pretty, but as you can see here, we've got some different fields. We've got the email address, and we made that required with the little asterisk there. And again, our forms and emails are all mobile responsive. So if you look over to the right where I've got the email address to kind of stuck over on the right side there, we are putting that right here in line to demonstrate the mobile responsive capability. And then, of course, you can embed these forms either onto your site or onto a landing page, and you've got some different options. You can embed them as an iframe or a widget, or if you're putting it in an email, you can just grab this link and put it in the email, or you can use the custom URL to make a little bit smaller, more customized URL that you can put in the email there. And then this is the form designer, same with the survey designer. You can see that right here, but you also have this actions tab. So the actions tab are the different actions that you want to occur as soon as the form or the survey is submitted. So let's say you've got a form out there for newsletter sign up, and then anyone that signs up for that newsletter, you want to add them to a marketing list that just says newsletter marketing list. You can add them to that marketing list here. Or if they if they fill out the form, you can remove them from a marketing list. You could schedule a follow-up activity in CRM, like a task activity, and assign that to a user. Put a date, the due date on it. There's some different email notifications. You can send out a single email, a team notification email, campaign response. An autoresponder will go back to the person that submitted it, or you can just assign this to someone in CRM. So it doesn't matter what order you put these in or how many of these you put in. All of these activities, these actions, if you will, are going to occur as soon as the person submits the form or the survey. All right. One other key difference between the forms and the surveys that I want to point out is with surveys, you can incorporate something that we call skip logic. So skip logic basically will say, if the first question is, what's your favorite color, red or blue? If they say red, then the next questions can be related to things that are red. If they say blue, the next question will be related to something that's blue. So you can kind of take them down a very specific path depending on the answer that they gave to the previous question. All right, so that's pretty much it for the forms and surveys, and we've talked about emails and the web content, the web tracking, and now what I want to do is show you how we put all of this together using our campaign automation tool. So a campaign automation, sometimes it's referred to a drip campaign or a automation campaign. The first thing you want to do is start with what we call a trigger, and the trigger is either when somebody submits a form or interacts with an email that you send to them, or if they get added to a marketing list, for example. I'm just going to pull this up and I'll show you all the different triggers. So you're going to see here, it's kind of got this Visio look and feel. The canvas is just taking a second to load here. But there will be this kind of canvas with a different series of workflows and options that you can incorporate here. And it's going to start with the trigger, and then after the trigger you're going to have different series, just like what we looked at the end of that form. A lot of different things that can happen automatically. I'm not sure why. Oh, there we go. So here, this is just kind of a simple option, but again, the triggers, if someone submits a form or a subscription or a survey, those can all be triggers to kick off a campaign. If they interact with an email, that can also be a trigger. If they're added or removed from a marketing list, or if they register for or attend an event or not, that can also be a trigger. You can see this manual add is kind of grayed out here. We actually have the manual add in our example. So let me just walk through the high level idea of what we're doing here, and you'll get a better idea. So the first thing we're doing is we're starting with this marketing list. It's called Megan Single List. Anytime someone is added to that list, they're automatically going to go through this campaign automation. Now, let's say you've got someone that you want to put through this automation, but you don't want to add them to that list. You can go to the contact record, say run campaign automation, select this one here, and you can kind of manually kick them into the automation without having to add them to the marketing list. So that's what the manual add does. Now, down at the bottom here, it's kind of tough to see, but there's a little thing here called a series. I think of it as a folder. That's what this big rectangle is here with the 7 in it. The 7 just indicates, if I double click on it, that there are 7 different things going on within this folder. So it's just a nice way to kind of keep your main canvas a little more organized looking. But if you want to put all these actions and timers up here on the main canvas, you can certainly do so. But what we're doing is we're just saying anytime someone's added to this list, they're going to move along here, and they're coming into this series where what we're going to do is we're going to send them a series of emails. We're going to send them this email about content, and then we're putting in a timer. The yellow boxes are timers. We have a wait timer and a date timer. So the wait timer just lets you wait a specific amount of time. So you can pick the number, and it's minutes, hours, days, weeks, months. You can also restrict this to specific days. So if you want to take out Saturday and Sunday, for example, you could do that. You can even pick the time zone here. The date timer, a little bit more of a very specific date and time, or between dates kind of thing. So I usually like to say, if you are, people are coming into this series all the time, different times of the day, different days of the week. But let's say you have an event that's happening, obviously that's going to be a very specific date. If you want to send out an email one day before that that event, you can do that regardless of where people are at in their cycle here. So that's the difference between the two timers. But basically, again, what we're doing is we're sending an email, we're waiting a week. Email 2, which is a demo invitation, wait a week. Newsletter, sign up invitation, wait another week, and give them a tour. Now, if I go back here, what we're doing here, we're moving along after all those emails go out. Now you can see we've got another trigger. It's the email interaction. So what we're looking for, we just sent them a bunch of emails. We're looking to see if they're interacting with any of those emails. And here we can define what the interaction means. In this case, we're choosing if they click on the email, but you can also choose if they open the email without the click. And you can even get more granular and select which links they're clicking on if you want to go that route. So again, we've got the email interaction. You'll notice there's a positive and a negative path. So if they click on this email, they're going to go up the positive path. They're going to come into this box here, where we're going to create a task activity, assign it to the participant's owner in CRM, and assign a follow-up activity to that owner. Because this was Megan's list, we're also going to send a notification to her. Now, going here back into the email interaction and looking at the negative path, basically what this is saying is the participant will continue on the negative path if the trigger, the positive trigger, is not completed You can say within a certain time frame or by a certain date and time. So if they don't click on any of the emails, they're going to go down the negative path and they're going to come into this series where, you guessed it, we're going to send them some more emails and wait timers in between, just like before. Now again, same thing. We're looking to see if they interact. If they do interact, they're going to come up here. They'll be assigned to their owner in CRM, and there'll be a follow-up scheduled for that person, and Megan will be notified. And at that point, if they still don't interact with any of those emails, we're going to put them in here where we're just going to add them to a secondary list that we can use for a future campaign, but we're going to stop sending them emails for now. All right. So that's a very simple kind of nurture example, if you will, but you can imagine all the different ways when you combine all those triggers with these actions where you can send emails, add or remove to a list. Again, you'll notice if you send them an email and they interact with that email interaction can be another trigger. If you add them to a list, that's another trigger right here, added or removed from list. You could assign it to an owner in CRM, notify a user in CRM, create a task activity or a team notification. And then if your CRM has some workflows set up that you want to incorporate into this as well, you can do that. All you do is you can either make that something at the beginning, the middle, or the end, but you just go in here and select your CRM workflow that you want to incorporate. You also have the ability, if you have the subscription with one of our SMS providers like Twilio or Bulk SMS, you can even send a text message as part of your campaign here. All right, so this is the Builder tab up at the top. The next tab is the Statistics tab. Now, we haven't run this campaign. It was just kind of built for demo purposes, but you're noticing here that there are some hard numbers at the bottom and percentages at the top. It's just going to show you how many people have completed this trigger, how many people are in this series versus completed the series, and the percentage against the whole for the whole list of people that are in there. And then on the Participants tab, again, we haven't run this, but if you did, you'd see all the people that are listed here. And if you wanted to, you can highlight one or more people and either pause or stop them, or you could resume people later on if you'd like. So you'll also be able to run a report, and it will show you everybody and which stage here that they're at the time when you ran the report. So that's pretty much it for the campaign automation. I know we've got about 15 minutes left before we get into the questions, and I probably want to give a little bit more, but there are a few more things I do want to touch on here. Next thing I want to talk about is some of the event management capabilities. So with event management, we actually have 3 main types of events that we can help you manage. That would be webinars or in-person events or trade shows that you're attending. So let's talk about a little bit about each of those events and how ClickDimensions can help you better manage those. So let's say you're doing a webinar. We've got a connector built with GoToWebinar and WebEx. So if you have one of those 2 accounts, you can just link your credentials one time from that account to ClickDimensions in the settings area. And then after that, you just set up the webinar the way you normally would on the GoToWebinar or WebEx site. But when you do that, we're going to be able to bring that information into CRM. So let's go in here to the Marketing tab. I'm going to go to Events. And you can see here a list of all of a bunch of previous events. I want to pick one that actually had something. So this is a webinar that we did. It was partner training. But this was set up through our GoToWebinar account, and you can have multiple accounts. In this case, we have the sales and marketing GoToWebinar account, but if you have a different team with a different GoToWebinar account, they can connect that separately here as well. You just kind of give it a little connector nickname. So this is pulling in all the information about this event. We had 74 people that registered, for example. This is all pulling in from GoToWebinar site. But the thing I like about this is that I can go here and click on event participations, and this is going to show me all the people that registered or attended. Looks like I don't think this event actually happened, which is why everyone's showing as registered. But if they attended, it would say attended here. And so that's the nice thing, is that you can see who attended versus not. And then instead of somebody on the marketing team having to go out to the GoToWebinar site, get a report, split it up and email it out to everybody, if I'm on the sales team and I want to know if one of my partners attended, I can come in here and look at this report and see that information in real time. Okay. Now, same with in-person events. So with in-person events that you're inviting people to attend, we've got a few different options. If your registration needs are fairly complicated, like you need to print tickets or process payments, you probably want to do that through a company like Eventbrite or Cvent, and we have integrations for both of those companies as well. So in those cases, you would do the same thing. Link your credentials in the settings area, set up your event through Eventbrite or Cvent the way you normally would, but again, we can bring that information back into CRM in real time. However, a lot of our customers don't really have that complicated of a need. They're really just looking for more of an RSVP. So in that kind of scenario, what we usually recommend is that the customer would create an email template with an invitation to the event and send that out with a link to register. So someone would click on the link and they would be directed either to your website where you have the form embedded to register, or if you don't want to put it on your site, you can build a simple landing page and embed the form there. So then the customer gets the email, they click on the link, it directs them to the form, they fill out the form, and you can use that form as the RSVP. And then through the use of the CRM workflow, instead of that form coming back in here like a regular posted form would, these are all different kinds of forms that are on our site that people have filled out. So with the workflow, and we can help partners with that, it's a simple process that we've put together. You can have this come back in as an actual event record instead. So this annual meeting, for example, I believe is one. Yeah, so this is one that was created, and it doesn't have a connector. It's not done through. Oh, that was actually through Cvent. But anyhow, that's basically how it works. Is you can convert that form from just being a regular posted form to an event form. And then lastly, if you're doing trade shows, I'm going to pop back over to a slide here. We have this ClickDimensions import tool. And so you go to the trade show, you get your list. We have a template that you can put the list in, and then you just import that list into CRM using the ClickDimensions import wizard. And at that time, it's going to ask you a few things. It's going to ask you if you want to overwrite fields in CRM if there's a match on the email address, only fill in the blanks or don't map anything. And then if they don't find a match on the email address, you can set them up as a new lead or contact. And then there's another screen as part of this wizard where I'll actually allow you to create a marketing list, and you can add them all to the marketing list, or you can remove them from a marketing list if you'd like. So then think about how you can take that further. So trade show attendees, import them, add them to a list about trade show attendees, use that same list as the trigger for a campaign automation, and now you can send all those people that attended that trade show through this campaign automation series of events and actions that you determined you want them to go through. So very easy to kind of set all that up in a linear fashion. All right. So actually, Lisa, that's pretty much all I had to go over today. I know that leaves us with a little bit more time than 5 minutes, but at this point, I think we can open it up for questions.
Great, thank you. I see one. Looks like we have one question here. It says, the solution, will it work on premise and online?
Yes, that's a great question. So ClickDimensions will work with CRM Online and CRM On-Prem. Going back, technically it'll go back to 2011, but I would recommend not any earlier than 2013.
If you have questions, there's a button at the top, the right corner where you can type it in. What is the difference between unique and open click?
Yeah, so when you're talking about the click rate, there's the unique clicks and the total clicks. So a unique click, let's say I sent this email to 10 different people, and if every one of them opened or clicked on that email, I would have 10 unique clicks because each person is a unique person. But if one of those people went in and clicked on that 20 times, then I would have, 10 plus the 20, so it'd be almost 30 total clicks. So every time it's clicked on is a total click. Every individual that clicks on it is a unique click. Does that help?
Okay. see, we have another one. What is the difference between D365 for marketing and Click Dimensions?
Yes, so the Dynamics 365 marketing app is what I think you're referring to. That is an offering that is about to come out from Microsoft. Click Dimensions, you know, we're a product that fills the marketing need within CRM. The marketing app will also do that. But our premise, as I said at the beginning of the session here, you know, when we talked about why Click Dimensions, you know, we're built fully natively within Dynamics 365, which the marketing app will be as well. But we also are a marketing company. We understand marketers. We know what their needs are. And as such, we have services that go along with the product, such as expert onboarding, training, consulting, support, all of those things that Microsoft really doesn't offer in terms of the marketing app. There are some differences in the nuts and bolts and things like that, like the marketing app, from what I understand, wouldn't be able to do that bulk kind of email send that I showed you guys earlier on. The only way that emails would be sent through the marketing app is through their version of like a campaign automation. So you're not going to be able to do those traditional bulk sends with the marketing app. I know that's a big difference there, but there are several different functionality differences. But I think, you know, more so than getting into the nitty gritty about the product, it's really about the company and everything that goes along with that. You know, our mission is to support marketers that are using Dynamics, whether that means Click Dimensions in Dynamics, or maybe it is the marketing app in Dynamics, because we all know that Microsoft builds great products. They do a great job with products, but they're not a marketing organization, and we are, and that's where we can step in and help marketers really get to where they want to be with their product.
Can we create templates for surveys?
Yes, so that form builder that I showed you, you can do the same thing with a survey creator. You can use that to build out your survey questions, and then you can do the different answers. You know, and since we have a little time, why don't I just pull up an example of what a survey looks like here? Again, you probably are thinking his form was pretty awful looking, so the survey is not going to be very good either, but this will give you an idea anyway. So these are just, it's going to be the same 3 columns that you have to work with. We've got all kinds of different survey question types. And so you'll see that here in just a moment.
And
okay.
I think, Gary, this is part of this survey as well. This is a 2-part question as well.
Okay.
It says, can we recognize bogus emails before creating surveys? And can we deactivate a recipient from a list while sending surveys?
Okay. So when you're sending the survey, you're probably going to do that as part of your bulk send. So let me come back here and we'll look at that bulk send. Now I'm just going to use that July newsletter send example again that we did, right? So if you remember, when we are looking at who received this email under the email statistics, sorry, I have a lot of things open. I think it's kind of messing with this here. Let me just show you this for, oh, there we go. So this is that newsletter statistics. This is just a different view of what this looks like. But this is the number of listed recipients. If that email hard bounced in the past, we're going to exclude that. So if this is the first time you're sending to that email, probably not going to have that luxury. But once that email hard bounces and we know that that's a bad email, that will be excluded from every subsequent email send, because we know at that point that it had hard bounced. And so here again, this is the number of messages that were sent. So we're excluding folks here if it hard bounced previously, or if they chose to unsubscribe from the newsletter campaign. So I hope that answers the question about the email boguses. And then here, this is just again a very simple example of a survey type here. So you've got different drop down options. You've got star ratings. The cool thing about the star ratings is that you can set this up to say, with workflows to say, if they get a 9 stars rating or higher, you can have a series of actions occur. Or if they get a low rating, you can have another series of actions. So something gets a low rating, you maybe want to have someone reach out to them and kind of figure out why. Or if it's a high rating, maybe you want to thank them for that and send them a discount certificate or whatever you want to do. So star rating is kind of a neat one. You've got the radio buttons here where you can choose a radio button option. If you want multiple options, you might want to pick this checkbox one here. You've got freeform text, and you've also got the larger text boxes. So just a couple of examples of the survey question types that you have available here.
Great. Any more questions? Give it a few more seconds. Looks like it may be it. Oh, thank you. Gary, that was a great presentation. Looks like we've covered everything. I would like to thank all our attendees and Gary. Like I said, this was recorded, so I will be sending out the webcast. Thank you all and have a wonderful day.
Thank you, everyone. Appreciate your time. Have a great day.